मामरपति गणेशार्चितपादो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे भुजे सव्यवेणुं शिरसि शिखे पिच्छं कटिताटे दुकुलं नेत्रान्ते सहचरी कटाक्षं विदधाते सदा श्रीमद्वृन्दावन वसति लीला परिचायो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे महाम्बुधस्थिरे कनकरुचिरे नीलशिखरे वसन प्रसादान्त सजल बलभद्रेण बलिना सुभद्रा मध्यस्थ सकल सुरसेवा वसरादो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे कृपा परवरस जल जलदश्रेणी रुचिरो रामवाणी रामस्फुरदमलपङ्क्तिरुहमुखा सुरेन्द्रराराध्य श्रुतिगणशिखगीतचरितो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे रथारूढ गच्छन् पतिमिलित भूदेव पटले स्तुतिर्प्रादुर्भावं प्रतिपदमुपकर्ण्य सदया दया सिन्धुर्बन्धु सकल जगतां सिन्धुसुतया जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे परं ब्रह्म पीडकुवलय दलोत्फुल्लनयन निवासी नीलाद्रौ निहितचरणोऽनन्त शिरसि रसानन्दिरादास रसवपुरालिङ्गनसुको जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे न वैयाछि राज्यं न च कनकमाणिक्य विभावम् न याचेऽहं रम्यां सकलजनकाम्यां वरवादुम् सदा काले काले प्रमथपतिना गीतचरितो जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे हरत्वं संसारं द्रुतरम् असारं सुरपदे हरत्वं पापानां विततिम् अपरं यादवपदे अहो दीनानाथे निहितचरणो निश्चितमिदम् जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे One more time. Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me. Three beat. Jaya 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 Jagannath 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 Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gaurani Tai, Jaya Gaurani Tai, Gaurani Tai, Jaya Gaurani Tai. Nitai Gaur, Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaur, Haribol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Gurudev. Jayom Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivikacharya Astatura Sata Shri Shri Mat. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayom Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivikacharya Astatura Sata Shri Shri Mat. His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. Nantikoti Vaishnavinda Ki. Prem Sekaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gradhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinav Shamakun Radhakun Girigulan Ki. Jagannath Rathayatra Katha Ki. Samaveda Bhaktivinda Ki. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the Sama devotees. All glories to the Sama devotees. All glories to the Sama devotees. All glories to glory Shri Guru Shri Gauranga. Om Jnana-timirandjasa Gananjanan Salakaya Chakshulmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Prabhupada Ki Jagannath Swami Ki Gaur Premanandi. So today is the last day of this nearly 1 month Mahotsava of Jagannath. So as we are all aware, in the spiritual world, every day is a festival. Every day is Mahotsava. Right? Our problem is maybe we're not pure enough to feel that Mahotsava every day. In the spiritual world, every walk is a dance, actually. And when they speak, every word is a song. And every day is a festival. So, of course, in the material world, that's what we want also, but we want it without Krishna. I want the festival for me, my festival, my Mahotsava. Right? Everybody, come. But it doesn't make us feel good. So we have to give up our enmity and return to our positions as the servants of Jagannath. I'll read the translations to this Ashtikam that we were singing here. And surprisingly, you know who composed this? Huh? Shankaracharya. He's not, in that role, he's impersonalist. Mayapur. It's such beautiful, We'll see later, I'll explain the Chaitanya Lila, that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya also. He also going to Jagannath temple, and when Mahaprabhu came, having his first darshan of Jagannath, he's in such anxiety, he's running. Actually, the Lila was set so that he would go by himself. Because before Nityananda decided, why is he carrying this danda? He's the Supreme Person of Godhead, being burdened with this danda. So he broke it. And of course, Mahaprabhu, he had two missions. Primary mission is Radha Bhav, but the second was to set the example for everyone in Kali Yuga, so he wanted to be perfect sannyas. So when he returned from his bath, he asked Nityananda, please give me my danda. Can you? And Nityananda said, you don't remember? You were in great ecstasy and thrashing everywhere, and you even fell on me. And the danda broke, so I threw it away. And you can see Mahaprabhu was a little upset. Anyways, you punish me however you feel necessary. I'm so sorry. So, Mahaprabhu, fine, I'll go by myself. I don't want to see you all. So he went by himself. And of course, we know when he got closer, he could see the Jagannath Mandir and the emotions of Radharani finally seeing Krishna again. And he rushes in, and running to embrace Jagannath, he passes out. So, of course, immediately, like, we have our little security guards downstairs. Say, what are you doing? Get up to that ground. We're going to beat you. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he stopped him and stated that he could see all the ecstatic manifestations in Mahaprabhu's body. And he's a Mayavadi. So, mainly Mayavadi, as we see later, Mahaprabhu gives him association and imbues him with bhakti. But, yeah, the Mayavadis worship Jagannath. We'll read later, even the Buddhists, Jagannath was worshipped by the Buddhists also. So, there's some connection to the Sikh religion also. Guru Nanak, in 1100, would have darshan. So, Jagannath means that the Lord of the universe. How is he the Lord of the universe if he's only for Vaishnavas? So he's for everyone. All the Leelas are there. The Aishwarya Bhav, Madhurya Bhav, complete. Everything is there. So this translation is, sometimes in great happiness, Lord Jagannath makes a loud concert with his flute in the groves on the banks of the Jamuna. He's like a bumblebee tasting the beautiful lotus-like faces of the cowherd damsels of Vraj. And great personalities such as Lakshmi, Shiva, Brahma, Indra, and Ganesh worship his lotus feet. May that Jagannath Swami be the object of my vision. In his left hand, Lord Jagannath holds a flute. And on his head, he wears a peacock feather. And on his hip, he wears fine yellow silken cloth. From the corners of his eyes, he bestows sidelong glances upon his loving devotees. So sometimes you see Jagannath, he's made like that, right? And he always reveals himself through his pastimes in his divine abode of Vrindavan. May that Jagannath Swami be the object of my vision. On the shore of the great ocean, within a large palace atop the brilliant golden Nilachala hill, Lord Jagannath resides with his powerful brother Baladraja and his sister Subhadra, who sits between them. May that Jagannath Swami, who bestows the opportunity for devotional service upon all godly souls, be the object of my vision. Lord Jagannath is an ocean of mercy and as beautiful as a row of blackish rain clouds. So it's the rainy season now. So how many, I'm sure when you look up, you think like that, right? I go, maybe it's, sometimes you see some clouds that really get that mixture, isn't it? Blackish blue and he is the storehouse of bliss for Lakshmi and Saraswati, and his face resembles a spotless, full-blown lotus. The best of demigods and sages worship him, and the Upanishad sings his glories. May that Jagannath Swami be the object of my vision. When Lord Jagannath moves along the road on his Rathayatra car, at every step, large assemblies of brahmanas loudly chant prayers and sing songs for his pleasure. Hearing their hymns, Lord Jagannath becomes very favorable disposed toward them. He is the ocean of mercy and a true friend of all the world. We'll read later a little bit, just a little bit, how Mahaprabhu, he is the, how do you say it? This Jagannath Leela comes to its full head, you can say, the maximum force when Mahaprabhu comes, because this is Radha and Krishna uniting. May that Jagannath Swami, along with his consort Lakshmi, who was born from the ocean of nectar, be the object of my vision. Lord Jagannath, whose eyes resemble full-blown lotus petals, is the ornament of Lord Brahma's head. He resides on the Lachali hill, with his lotus feet placed upon the heads of Anantadev. Overwhelmed by the mellows of love, he joyfully embraces Srimati Radharani's body, which is like a cool pond. May that Jagannath Swami be the object of my vision. It's also described in the Skanda Purana that Krishna is called Jagannath because, not just because he's Lord of the universe, but he's in the maximum bliss. You know, you all should be familiar with that pastime of when the residents of Dwarka, this is around the time of Rukmini, they've moved there, and of course, Rukmini herself, she is a special form of the goddess of fortune. It's stated that by Srila Vishnu Chakravarti, that she manifests a form that is the most beautiful woman in the universe. Because Krishna is in his Aishwarya Leela. So that means topmost of everything, isn't it? He himself is extraordinarily beautiful. I mentioned before, he's referred to as Keshava. You know, he's so beautiful that even his hair is, his hair is described. So, and in Dwarka, what is opulence unless you have unfathomable opulence? So most men, we try to manage one wife, right? Well, imagine trying to have two wives. That's almost impossible, isn't it? How do you get them to agree even, huh? So, not only Krishna, he didn't have just, he had 16,108 wives. They're all in agreement. And as Prabhupada said, not that they had to wait 16,108 nights to see Krishna. You know, simultaneously, he's with all of them, all the time. You know, there's that, he's Yogeshwar, he's the master of all mystic yoga. So there's the one propensity where you can expand yourself. The yogis sometimes expand themselves into 8. But each of those expansions, they move with the other one. They're not separately functioning. So, and then 16,108 palaces, 10 sons. He also had some daughters too. I think like 3 or 4 daughters. Grandsons. So it seems unbelievable, right? People, come on. How can you believe such a thing? So this is Krishna. Still, surrounded by all of that which, you know, I guess most men would fantasize, yeah, I can see myself with such opulence. My home is off into the ocean on an island, beautiful palace. You see, I don't even need electricity because I can light my home with the jewels. They're so brilliant. This is how they lit their homes in Dwarka. They didn't need electricity. Just put gems on the wall. So, of course, Hiranyakasipu, he's probably the greatest materialist. I don't think anyone did what he did. He conquered everything. He was so powerful, he didn't need the demigods. He could do all their services. Still, he was not satisfied. So that should be a lesson to us. Become the servants. So, despite all that, still, they're seeing, well, he's crying out for village girls. What is this? They can't understand. We are, right, queens of Dwarka. And these are women who take care of cows, walking barefoot. So they knew Rohini, Balaram's mother. She spent time in Vrindavan. So they said, can you explain this to us? We don't understand. And she said, I can't tell you now because if Krishna hears, it'll be, how do you say, transcendentally a madness. So I said, when he's gone, then I'll explain these pastimes to you. So, of course, Krishna being the king, he has his duties. He has to go every day to the assembly hall. He takes his brother Balaram with him. And while he's gone, they finally gather together. And still, they're like, okay, someone guard the door because we can't have Krishna hear anything. Subhadra volunteered, I'll guard the door. So vigilantly, she's outside. And then she begins to describe Vraja Leela of Krishna. So, and the ecstasy of that Vraja Leela being discussed, even Subhadra couldn't resist the emotions of that. So it's kind of like for those of us who saw Prabhupada, and then you had the same experience, doesn't it, Prabhu? At least for me, I remember the first time seeing Prabhupada. You know, you see, we had the movie, Hare Krishna people, and you would see the video. You read his books. You've been rendering service. So that's ecstatic in itself. But then to be there when he arrives and see the interaction, you get to experience his ecstasies. Everyone. Devotees, non-devotees, everybody. They all become a little affected. You can see it. You could see it on the non-devotees even. For us, they're chastising, looking at us with, contempt, people, what is this nonsense, and disturbing us with all this singing. And with Prabhupada, they were just stunned. So, in this way, Subhadra, hearing that nectar, she became stunned. It's called Choka Dola, where the eyes become big and they implode. Only the Supreme Personality God, it is an eternal potencies and energies, they experience this kind of Mahabhav. And that bhav was so great that even though Krishna and Balaram are dealing with mundane affairs, with the kingdom, they began to feel it also. And they immediately ran out the assembly. So Subhadra she was already stunned. She couldn't stop them. And they became stunned like that also. The eyes big, stunned. And Narada Muni, he's transcendental madman, of course. What is this nectar? What's going on? He comes down and he sees this form. And being a Vaishnava, he's merciful to everyone, right? So I want everyone to see this form. Why should I just enjoy, right? That's Vaishnava. Not that, I'm here in Mayapur. Mayapur is very nice, isn't it? I was just speaking to one devotee, and he says, how are you? I said, even though my knee hurts, Mayapur is so nice, isn't it? Even if there's a problem, still it's sweet. I don't have that experience. Maybe some other temples I go, I still feel kind of like, you get a little, but it's always nice. So Narada decided, I want this form for everyone to see this mood of your Mahabhav. So this is Jagannath in that form. And then, of course, we know in Satya Yuga, Indrabjunam has this whole Leela of looking for Nila Madhava, and everyone knows the pastime of him coming into that form. So, and of course, he's not worshiping in Vrindavan mood. He's worshiping as Aishwarya, as Vishnu, as Narayan, Lakshmi. So even this Rathayatra pastime it was celebrated in that way, with beginning the marriage of Lakshmi and Narayan, and then the Abhishek, It's not a yatra. Krishna becomes sick and his wife has to come and take care of him for so many days. And she becomes tired, but he's thinking of Vrindavan. So he sneaks off. And it's with the Rath cart. I must go to Vrindavan. And then she awakens, her husband's gone. What is this? Why has he left me? All the emotions are there. And she goes to Gundicha to chastise him and bring him back. So on this day, of course, he's coming back. So in ISKCON, we haven't enacted that part of the Leela. We take this, and also all-inclusive again. Jagannath is preaching. This is how Prabhupada took him out, for the whole world. Let me finish this Ashtikam and we'll continue some more of this Leela here. So, number 6 again. Lord Jagannath, whose eyes resemble full-blown lotus petals, is the ornament of Lord Brahma's head, and resides in Nilacha hill with his lotus feet placed on the heads of Ananta Dev. See, everything's there in Jagannath. Overwhelmed by metals of love, he joyfully embraces Srimati Radharani's body, which is like a cool pond. May that Jagannath Swami be the object of my vision. I do not pray for a kingdom, nor do I pray for gold, rubies, or wealth. I do not ask for a beautiful wife as desired by all men, or a handsome husband as desired by all women, or a husband with a good job. How about that? I simply pray that Jagannath Swami, whose glories Lord Shiva always sing, may be constant object of my vision. O Lord of the demigods, please quickly remove this useless material existence I am undergoing. O Lord of the Yadus, please destroy this vast, shoreless ocean of sins. And last, this is certain, Lord Jagannath bestows his lotus feet upon those who feel themselves fallen and have no shelter in this world but him. May that Jagannath Swami be the object of my vision. And then a benediction is given. It says that the self-retrained, virtuous soul who recites these 8 verses glorifying Lord Jagannath becomes cleansed of all sins and duly proceeds to Lord Vishnu's abode. Jagannath Ashtikam Ki. That 8th stanza is pretty interesting in that the prayer is given there. In the beginning, he's speaking with so many varieties of praying. Right? Aishwarya Bhav, Madhurya Bhav, and they're all being mixed in there. He's putting his feet on Ananta, but he's embracing Radharani. Those things aren't the same, right? Radharani, they care about Vishnu. Isn't it? Even when Krishna left the rasa dance, they're looking for him, and he's disguising himself. Not disguise himself, but he assumes his Narayan form. They're like, oh, did you see Krishna? Where did he go? And Narayan is, again, he's very beautiful. So this last stanza, the prayer is given there where for those of us who have not achieved bhava and praying stages, that if he would help us in removing these apadis, these anartas that seem to pull us away from Krishna praying. Isn't it? It's like a struggle sometimes, and when you're on that sadhana bhakti, I must chant 16 rounds, 4 regular principles, Mangalartik. Okay, yes, let me do it. Yado Shraddha, Tata Sadhu, Sangata, Bhajana Kriya. We go through all the stages. So the prayers are, please don't let me give up this process. Because Maya's given us our little test every now and then. Oh, do you really want Krishna praying? Look what you could have. She doesn't give us too much to overwhelm us, but a little bit. You see? And that test is really there to increase our desire for Krishna service. Because if you go after it, yes, it may be enjoyable, but the nature of the material energy is it's like a coin. There's two sides. One side is what you see, which is so enjoyable, and I will sacrifice anything for it. I don't care any sinful activity I'll do, because it's going to feel good. But Maya doesn't show you the backside until afterwards. And then we lament, oh, what have I done? You see? Unless we are karmis. Okay, let me try it again. I'll try it another way. You see? Over and over and over, keep trying. Okay, take another birth. So, those are the devotees. So we recognize this chapala sukha, this flickering, this samsara. So we pray like this. You keep me steady, keep me enthused. Whatever you have to do, give me the strength to accept it. Even, you see. And also, this is the preaching mood of Jagannath. Because Srila Prabhupada, he took him out for preaching. He took him all over. So even the Pandits, in Mayapur, in Puri, they're a little upset. Why are you having Jagannath Rathayatra everywhere? I think in India, they even made such a fuss that we have to do it on the same day. Because we try to time it so that, all the Maharajas can attend. So, in America, the Baltimore Temple starts the first Rathayatra festival on the last weekend of May. And then it comes to Atlanta, where Jayapataka Maharaj is there for the Panihati Festival and Rathayatra. Big kickoff. All the devotees from the Southwest show up. Then, New York City, Fifth Avenue, Rathayatra, which is extraordinary in itself also, if you think about that. Only 3 parades are allowed on Fifth Avenue. How did Rathayatra become one of the 3? It's extraordinary. Even Prabhupada was surprised. He said, how did you get permission for this? They were only allowing 2 festivals. They said, no more festivals no more parades. So the devotee said, well, we approached them and we said we want to have this parade. And they said, well, what is it you're going to do? He said, we're going to pull 3 hand-drawn carts down the street. So they said, okay. And Prabhupada said, yes, just like Vamana Dev tricked Bali Maharaj. I just want 3 small steps, that's all. No, I'll give you anything. Take villages. No, just 3 steps. He didn't realize they were like, wow, everything. 2 steps took everything, right? So he had to arrest them. You promised me 3 steps and you only gave me 2. You're under arrest. Okay, put the 3rd step on my head. Surrender. So in this way, Jagannath is, as he says, he wants to give the mercy and free everyone. That benediction he says there, when you see him, all your sins are gone. And then the devotees are chanting Hare Krishna mantra. So the benediction of devotional service, the Bhakti Lata Beach, is being implanted in their hearts also. And as we advance, like Mahaprabhu, he simultaneously was doing both Leelas. Of course, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it describes how he, in the mood of Radharani, is interacting with Jagannath with so many prayers there. There's, as I mentioned earlier, that the Jagannath, at least for me, I always thought he's for Vaishnavas, right? He's for everyone. As we mentioned, that song we're singing is by Shankaracharya. And the Buddhists also worship Jagannath. Nice pastime. You want to hear a pastime of this Buddhist Leela with Jagannath? This is from Skanda Purana, Bhakta Purushottam Maharaj's book. He took all of these and put them in a nice way that you don't have to struggle through the translations of the Sanskrit. So Lord Jagannath's mercy to the truthful Buddhists. And this is around the time of King Ashok. So as you know, before the British, India was really a collection of principalities. You know, there were some Hindu kings, some Mughals, some a little bit of everybody. It wasn't a united country. So yes, in one sense, we can be angry with the British for, you know, the way they managed India, but at least they kind of made a country out of it. You didn't have a bunch of little places constantly attacking one another. Set a form of government in place that things kind of continued. Mm-hmm. So during that previous period, there was a king, and he was a Buddhist. And he ruled that area, which is now Orissa. And so, you know, it's like Buddhists, they have their emphasis on truthfulness and nonviolence. And they're adverse to sense gratification. They lead an austere life. So his wife, his wife was actually a Vaishnava. So at one point, they were trying to decide, because the management of the Jagannath temple, it changes often. Yes, it does. Oh, you were saying, I thought you did say. I think currently, I don't know who is under it currently, but sometimes it's under Shankarites, and sometimes it was under Buddhists. So they were trying to decide who should manage the temple. So they decided to have a test. Should it be the Buddhists, or should it be the Brahmins? So it says here on the Grand Road, that road that they use for taking Jagannath to Gudnichi, everybody heard what was happening. So thousands of people came. And finally, the king and queen arrived on their palanquin. And the Buddhists were on one side, and the Brahmins were on the other. And they all began to proclaim why they should be in charge of the worship of the Jagannath temple. So the Buddha said, because we're truthful by nature and we follow strict principles of satya. And the Brahmins said, we're very expert in tantra and we engage in all kinds of tantric activities. These are Karmakandya Brahmins. So then finally the queen said, okay, we're going to have a test. And the test was, they had a pot that was covered. And they said, inside this pot is something only known to the king and queen. No one else knows what has been kept inside that covered pot. Whichever group can tell what is inside that pot will be regarded as the winner. And the group who cannot will be thrown out of the kingdom. So the king asked the Buddhists, what is inside this pot? And the Buddhists replied, there is a snake inside the pot. And if it's not true, then punish us as you like. So the queen was very happy to hear this, because she knew that inside was a snake. So she thought, okay, the Buddhists are going to win. So then the king asked the Brahmins, do you agree that there's a snake inside this pot? If you have a different opinion, please reveal it to us. So the Brahmins, being very powerful, they also knew there was a snake in the pot. But they thought, if we say the same thing as the Buddhists, then how is that to our credit? So they used their Tantra Vidya, and they turned the snake into ashes. So then the Brahmins replied, there's no snake inside that pot. Rather, there's a palm full of ashes. So the queen was very happy to hear this, because she thought the Brahmins were wrong, knowing that she didn't know what they had done behind the scenes. So after they both spoke, the king, of course, he opened the pot to reveal what was inside. So the king, he said, see, there is no snake inside this pot, there's only ashes. And then the Buddhists objected. No, there was a snake inside that pot. But these Brahmins used their tantra and turned it into ashes. And the king began to argue, no, but the rule was whatever was revealed, that is what's inside the pot. So he refused to yield, and he said, the Buddhists must be driven out of the kingdom. So the Brahmins took sticks and began to beat the Buddhists. And the queen was begging them, don't punish them, they're faultless. Why are you doing this? They spoke the truth. So they were beaten very severely, and then the leader of the Buddhist monks, he asked them, why are you punishing these monks like this? They are faultless. And the king wouldn't relent, so he said, they have been beaten by the Brahmins and are suffering, and you are enjoying their suffering? I tell you, if it is true that Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra are symbols of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, then the mouth of yours by which you have given this unjust order will be diseased. And that mouth will be bitten by insects. So the king felt disappointed because he was cursed by the Mahapranyagya. And the Brahmins felt afraid of that curse too. So of course, over time, ulcers began to appear in the mouth of the king. And they tried so many remedies to cure him. And eventually insects were coming out of those sores in his mouth. So the king began to pray to Jagannath to help. And he said, he understood Jagannath is equal to everyone. This is the lesson. Everyone. And he's worshipped by everyone. And it didn't matter whether they're Buddhists or Smarta Brahmins. Jagannath is the Lord of his devotees, whoever the devotee is. This is the mercy of Jagannath. Even where did they find Jagannath? He's being taken care of by some tribal people. It wasn't like South Indians, Paka Brahmins, proper mantras. So he is the Lord of the universe. Even the tribal people, up to the great Vaishnavas, Mahaprabhu, they're all being satisfied by Jagannath. That's his mercy. So gradually the king became very weak, was about to leave his body. And that night the queen was sitting next to him as he was meditating upon and praying to Lord Jagannath. So the big round eyes of Lord Jagannath were appearing again and again in the king. And he had a dream that night. And he begged Jagannath, please forgive me. Excuse me for my offenses toward the Buddhist monk. Today I've understood that you do not belong to any one group. You are Swayamparam Brahma. You are above all groups. You are the supreme shelter of everyone of sadhaka. I was trying to establish you as the God of the Vaishnavas, but you are the God of everyone. So then it said at that moment, the room became filled with light, and the light of that chief of the Brahmins appeared and said, O king, let Tathagata bless you and excuse you for your misdeeds. So he forgave them. And in the future, never chastise anyone unlawfully. Take shelter of Lord Jagannath and always remember him. And so saying this, he disappeared. And then the king was cured. And Lord Jagannath appeared and said to him, whatever sins you have incurred, by going through this punishment, you have now been purified. Now engage yourself in my service nicely. That pot which you had used to test the truthfulness of the Buddhist monks should be kept in the Boga Mandap. Who's been inside Puri Temple? Prabhu, you ever notice that place where that pot is kept? Next time you go, look for it. So people will see this pot and remember the dangerous result of untruthfulness. Saying this, Lord Jagannath then left the king's room. So again, the queen was happy to hear the mercifulness of Jagannath, and then she found next to the bed a bindi made of blue sapphire that they would put on Jagannath. So then she knew, yes, Jagannath was here. So, anyway, by the order of the king, the pot was placed on the top of the Boga Mandap, and until today, that pot remains there to announce that Lord Jagannath is the worshipful Lord of everyone. Jagannath Swami Ki. Then you can ask, well, what about the Christians? There is some Leela for them too. As you know, when the British came, took control and made India what it is, and they wanted to bring their culture and change this hedonistic culture of idol worship. And they recognized actually that Jagannath, he is the greatest god of the Hindus. We have to, stop this. As a matter of fact, what the British did at one time, they took control of the temple and began to tax the pilgrims because so many people were coming from everywhere. So they had a special tax to go in the temple. And of course, people were upset by this. And the Christians were also pushing the monarchy in this way, that yes, we have to convert these Hindus. Matter of fact, they didn't call him Jagannath, they would call him Juggernath, and more in an insulting way. In this one Christian priest, he wrote many articles sending back to the Western world describing how there was so many horrific things in their worship of Jagannath, which were not true, in an attempt to destroy this worship of Jagannath. So in the end, what happened? Jagannath has gone to all these Christian cities. And he's converting them. Isn't it? That's his mercy. That was his trick. Yeah, come on. Make me Christian. Bring it. Okay. I am Christian. I'm the best Christian. They don't realize it. I am Christ. Christos Christ. Right? So through Prabhupada, there's Rathayatras everywhere. I remember even in Atlanta one time we had the festival. We had it downtown on a Friday where most people are there. And I can't remember the king's name, but the king of Orissa, he just happened to be in America at that time. And he was going to come to our Rathayatra in Atlanta. Some devotees who knew him. And he said, yes, I'll come. So we arranged for the city to make a proclamation. We were hoping the mayor would come. And we were fortunate at that time. We had Jayapataka, Rita, and a bunch of big sannyasis were there. And he didn't come. But anyway, it was still a nice festival, and they presented. Today, on this day, will forever be known as Rathayatra Day in Atlanta, a proclamation. It's put on the newspaper, television. Nice, grand Rathayatra, as best as we can do in America. Nothing like India, but very nice. So, of course, the Christians come out with the signs. We have to save these fallen people worshiping idols. So there's one spot where we stop, and we take Jagannath to put him in the car to take him to another location for the festival. And we're waiting there with kirtan, and there were so many Christians surrounding us. But they weren't angry ones. These were really, they were really praying sincerely for us, with tears in their eyes. Jesus saved them. Jesus saved them. And we're chanting, Hare Krishna, and the mixture of this sound was, it was ecstatic, actually, when you think about it. It wasn't like sometimes these Christians coming want to attack, like in L.A., they always want to, hey, you demons. But these were, and then so the devotees, somehow or another, we surrounded them. There was like maybe 8 of them. You know how we do our dancing in a circle? So we start going around them, Haribo, Haribo, and they fell to their knees and began to pray even more deeply for Jesus to save us, and tears are coming down their eyes. It was like, my God, this is like, I can only think when they left that Rathayatra, and their hearts had to have changed for sure. We took them to another level, for sure. I know for us it felt like that too. I was like, wow. And finally the cars came. And actually one older priest came and he pulled them aside, and I seen he was talking to them kind of, in such a way as to, don't go and disrupt these people or something. And they were listening attentively. But, they had intense kirtan for at least 10, 15 minutes with the devotees chanting around them. Jagannath Swami ki. Okay, I ran out of time. I was going to mention very briefly, because, then we can say, well, if Jagannath is for everybody, then why can't we go inside? Right? So even there was another king, Vaishnava king, had pastime where, this is also before the British, and the Mongols were somehow very powerful. They could defeat all these Hindu kings. So he was Vaishnava king, and he decided, I better attack this one Mughal before he attacks us, so I can protect Jagannath before they destroy the temple. But he lost the battle, and he was imprisoned. So the Mongols, they're very clever, they're not just going to, they know we have to manage the people. So he made a deal with him, said, you marry my daughter and become a Muslim, and I will not attack the temple. So he was torn. How can I give up being Vaishnava and become Muslim? And his daughter just so happened to be, because the custom at that time was most of these Mughals would marry Hindu ladies. So her mother was Hindu, a devotee of Jagannath. As a result, she was a devotee of Jagannath, even though they were Muslim. And she came to him and said, please marry me so we can protect Jagannath. And he says, but I don't want to give up my religion. And she says, you never have to touch me, ever. And so he agreed. And so she stayed in one place, and he would stay someplace else. And once a week, he would maybe visit her. But the priest in the temple heard that the king converted, and they did not accept his excuse. So they forbade him from coming into the temple because he was now Muslim. So he would come at night when nobody else is around on horseback and sit outside the gate and pray to Jagannath to please give me your darshan. I did this so that I could protect you. I didn't want them to destroy the temple and break you in any way. And many nights he would come like this. And it says finally Jagannath's heart melted. And he came off his Sringasana and gave the king the darshan at the Lion's Gate. Every night he would do this. And when the priest came back in the morning, unlocking the gate to worship Jagannath, they noticed, where all these flower petals come from? What is this? And they followed it back up to the altar. What is going on here? So one of the head priests decided, I will stay the night and see what happens. What's going on? And that night, Jagannath came to him in his dream and told that priest also what had happened and how he's going to see this king because you're blocking him from seeing me. So Jagannath said to the king, you make one small altar. And Jagannath assumed a small form in which this king can still have his darshan without coming into the temple. And to this day, there's a spot there near the Lion's Gate where all of us who can't go in, you can have your darshan of Jagannath that way until Rathayatra comes. So it's still perplexing that somehow or another, Jagannath didn't say, you let him in. No, he can still have his darshan. Because you can also think it's a mood of separation, right? Even Mahaprabhu, He wanted to embrace Jagannath, but he never could. He's too far away. So this should just increase your mood of, I want him, but I can't get close to him. This is the mood of Jagannath, you know. Even Mahaprabhu, why couldn't he? He could have, you think he could, he's the supreme person of Godhead, right? Why didn't he change it? Balarama is there, Mahavishnu, they're all there. They could easily, you know, Haridas Thakur, he had to stand outside. So this is to increase our longing for Jagannath. Our mood is like that Madhurya Bhav, separation. Krishna, his Leela was what, 125 years. He only spent 10 years in Vrindavan. 115 years, they're dying near death and wanting Krishna to come back. So this is the mood of the Vaishnavas. So today at 1 o'clock, they'll take Jagannath back. He's already washed the street for us. He's made the weather very cool, so we have no excuse. And if we're fortunate, maybe he'll give us an abhishek on the way. Swaha! Bless the Vaishnavas. So let us take Jagannath back to Lakshmi Devi, right? Or Dwarka, Rukmini. Jagannath Swami ki! All glory to the sum of devotees.